Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Chtib Zhang Show, episode 35. Today's episode will be giving our reactions to the Jake Paul Tyron Woodley boxing match. Give our thoughts on how we thought the fight went. Do we agree? Whatever. What's next? And we're going to be talking also about Jesperi Kotkaniemi offer sheet, signing off sheet with the Carolina Hurricanes. What's Montreal going to do? What's Bergevin thinking of doing? We give our thoughts on that as well. But before we get into that, as always, this episode is brought to you by Hot Streak Fantasy, the best in-play fantasy app on the market. Pick 2 to 3 players in the MLB while you're watching your favorite teams and watch them make you some money. Hot Streak is matching your initial deposit as a bonus when you use promo code HOT SAUCE. So get Hot Streak Fantasy app now. We love Hot Streak Fantasy. It's a quick and easy way to make some money when betting on your favorite players, like the ad said, and watch them make you some money. So get into that. If you are a big sports gambler, it's a great app. I highly suggest it. But before we get into the episode, Eric, as always, roll it. Welcome back to the Chtib Zhang show, episode 35. Another episode, another week. This episode, of course, we have to talk about Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. We're going to talk about, like we said before, Montreal, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, and the Hurricanes. We'll get into that later. But first, Eric, let's break off the Paul versus Woodley boxing fight. It was 8 rounds, took place yesterday. Jake Paul actually came home with the win by split decisions. He had 77-75, one judge, and 78-74. And I think the other one, Phil Rogers, gave Woodley the win for 77-75. Yeah. So let me break it down how it went. A lot of disagreement, Tyron Woodley, Jake Paul, who they thought won, people online, whatever. This is how the judges scored. The card, all 3 judges agreed on just 3 rounds, the first and second for Jake Paul, and then the 4th for Woodley. All 3 of them gave him that. But Phil Rogers scored the last 5 rounds for Tyron Woodley. So that's how he got that win for himself there. But Eric, let's start off with it. Do you agree with this decision? You think Jake Paul was the better fighter?
Overall, I do believe Jake. Like when we were watching the fight, if we just watched the fight, we didn't listen. We didn't really see what the commentators were saying. We were kind of just watching it. Most of us were like, okay, I think Jake Paul is kind of gonna win this fight. Yep. If all he does, because to me the first 2 rounds he won. The third one, he pretty much won. The 4th one, obviously, he lost. That's pretty. Yeah. That one was clear. But after that, it was pretty. You could have tossed him up. I don't think Tyron. Yeah. I don't think I would have given all 4 last 4 rounds,
5 rounds.
Tyron.
Yeah,
but I don't know. It was close, but and I think Jake Paul won the fight. If you look at it, Jake Paul won the fight. But something that was kind of tricky is a lot of people say that the 4th round should have been a 10-8 because when you have a knockdown,
yeah.
So Jake Paul didn't fall, but the ropes kind of helped him up.
Exactly.
But that could have made a difference, but. In the end, it was either a tie or Jake Paul was going to win. But
I wonder if he ever got punched like that. I wonder if he's ever gotten punched like that.
I wonder too.
By he said Tyron Woodley was his toughest opponent, had the toughest punch he's ever faced, and he did fucking get nailed. That one shot, the ropes caught him. He could have gotten knocked down. Who knows what would happen? But anyway, I have to agree. This is like Jake Paul. I got to give him credit now. Before this, I wasn't giving him credit beforehand. And then he fought a serious contender in Woodley. He was able to, obviously, I don't know if it was Woodley or Jake Paul, but he was able to avoid that. Well, not avoid, because he did get hit real hard. But throughout the fight, that right hook or right hand for Woodley wasn't really a factor. Jake Paul did a good, I don't know if he did a good job, because he's technically sound or anything like that. It's either that or Tyron Woodley just didn't have that instinct in him, which is weird. It seems like he was backing off. He couldn't get inside Tyron Woodley. He didn't really use his right hand as much. Didn't really have any combos or anything like that. Jake Paul actually had that one combo he kept doing where he'd go down low and then go up high. The 1, 2, 3, and it worked a few times. That was really some of the only combos we saw. After that, it was just jab separation. It was kind of a boring fight after a while. Only 8 rounds. I don't know. You saw fighters on there are a lot of UFC fighters on Twitter and stuff making fun of them. Kamaru Usman, I forget who else saying that. Nate Diaz, I think, said these guys suck, whatever, blah blah
But it's
blah. It
normal
was
to
fun,
say
even
that.
though
It's
yeah, it
normal.
is normal. But yeah, Tyron Woodley obviously is showing that striking definitely was a big part of his game
Yeah.
that he needed to work on. No wrestling in boxing, as we know. So
No, but
I don't know.
exactly. This is why last week I was pretty confident when I said Jake Paul has a really good chance of winning. I think
Mhm.
I said 55-45.
Yep.
Like I'm to be honest, at the end, I was probably like Tyron low. I don't think he could have won, but the split decision is probably the right decision. I don't think it was unanimous, but split
No.
decision. It was a very close fight. So I think it's pretty fair if you look at the fight. And one of the reasons why I said I don't think Tyron's like gonna necessarily beat Jake Paul is because if you look at Tyron's other than against Vincente Luque,
Luque.
that Vincente Luque he put out pressure on Vincente Luque, but he got rocked. So he
Yep.
did rock Vincente, but he got rocked too. But before that, against Kamaru, against Gilbert Burns and Colby Covington, he was backing off. He was backing off. And he basically, other than Colby Covington, like he lost those rounds. Like he went 5 rounds basically and lost those rounds by points because he wasn't aggressive enough. And
Yeah.
he was looking for that counter and just kept standing back. So and he kept relying on his like kind of
Mhm.
rest. He didn't really wrestle, but like that's why I was like, if he doesn't if he's not aggressive, he's not gonna beat Jake Paul because Jake Paul all he's got to do is like jab a couple times. He's got the reach on it, like maybe not, but he's like taller, so that's why. Oh my god,
I don't
it
know.
was
Even in
hard
the
to watch.
corners, like they allowed us to hear what the trainers were saying
Yeah,
during the not the intermittent, the end of the round.
yeah,
And Tyron's trainer was literally telling him like, okay, we got to start throwing punches because it's getting late
yeah,
in the game. And Tyron really
exactly,
wasn't really getting inside and being
exactly.
aggressive. He was really waiting for Jake Paul to make the
Yeah.
first move. And I think Jake Paul was waiting for Tyron to make the
Mm-hmm.
first, or Tyron to make the, was it Tyron or Tyron? Anyway,
Tyron Woodley, yeah,
Tyron Woodley, yeah, Tyron. So they're both waiting for each other to make the first move. And that's what made it a very boring fight
yeah.
because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of backing away, a lot of, jab, jab, and then step off. I just wanted to see more from Tyron
Mm-hmm.
Woodley, more. And I
Exactly.
didn't see that. So I don't know what's going on. Listen, at the end of the day, Tyron Woodley didn't, agree with the scorecard. He wants an immediate rematch because the next fight for
Yeah,
Jake Paul's schedule was that Fury fight.
yeah.
Fury, what's his first name again? Not Tyson. It's
Tommy,
Tommy Fury had his own fight. He won too.
but he didn't look good
But
at all.
apparently he didn't look good at all. Didn't
No.
apparently people are saying he didn't earn himself that Jake Paul fight.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't good enough. So maybe, Jake Paul did tell Tyron Woodley if he gets the tattoo of I love Jake Paul that they'll fight. It's a guarantee. They shook on it. Who knows what's gonna happen? People are advising Tyron Woodley not to get that freaking tattoo. Well, he is rich. He could get it lasered off if he, beats him in the second one. Who knows? But I'd like to see a rematch because I think Woodley would, change his game completely. I think he'd come out the
Mm-hmm.
second time. I think Jake Paul would, kind of still be who he is as a fighter. I think Tyron Woodley would work, would fix what he needed to work on in that fight was just be
But
more
you think
aggressive.
so?
I
People
think
have
so.
been saying that about Tyron, and for some reason he just
Yeah.
never fixes it. So it's easy to say, right? It's like, oh, fight, but don't forget the
Mhm.
first 2 rounds. I think Tyron. I don't think he was too aggressive because
No,
if you look at Jake Paul,
he wasn't
all of his
aggressive
wins.
throughout the fight. Let's just say
Yeah,
that.
that's fair. But first 2 rounds, Jake Paul knocked his opponents out, and then Tyron
Yeah.
didn't want to be. So the first 2 rounds he was kind of taking it easy. That's why he probably lost by points. And then he started picking up maybe a little too late. And then in the fourth, he got that really good shot. But other than that, like he didn't. It was a lot of jabs and like. At least there wasn't like too much clinching because sometimes what happens with boxing is
Yeah.
usually in later rounds there's a lot of clinching. There wasn't too much clinching, which wasn't that bad.
No.
But it just there wasn't. They were like kind of getting close to each other. 1-2 punches and then backing off. It wasn't like.
Yeah.
And what I found was Jake Paul was investing in the body shots because he was hitting. He was like
He threw
spreading
way
out the-
more,
yeah.
way more body shots.
yeah, way more body shots, and that counts in the total points. So, if you want to like, hey, and Jake Paul showed that he's got some kind of heart. He's got
For
the
sure,
cardio,
yeah.
like, and he can definitely box.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. There was a lot of fighters, like obviously, no brain. There was a lot of fighters that we watched on the undercards and stuff who I thought were
Oh,
better
yeah.
fighters, like the Love matchup,
Yeah, Montana and Love.
Montana Love versus the I don't know
No, yeah. I don't know.
Anyway, those guys look better, in my opinion, than these two. I'm pretty sure didn't Montana Love not say he could knock out either one of these guys? I'm pretty sure he was that fighter, right? In the undercard, he said he'd knock out Jake Paul
I have
and
no
Tyron Woodley. He
idea.
didn't care. I'm pretty sure I could be wrong, but I don't know. I don't know if Woodley was scared to get, if he was going to go for the body shots, that uppercut could have came, and he left his chin vulnerable. I don't know if that was in the back of his head all the time, but I just, if you look at the body shots total, Jake Paul had like 26 or something like that. Tyron Woodley had like 5. It was very low. So I don't know. He was as aggressive enough. Jake Paul didn't
For sure.
he didn't I don't know. He definitely did surprise me, Jake Paul, because he was able to go 8 rounds with Tyron Woodley and kind of control the pace. So that part of his game, his stamina, whatever, being able to go that stretch surprised me. Did his fighting wow me? No, not really. Not at all. His fighting, no. But I got to give him the credit. And so we have no clue who's going to be Jake Paul. Is it going to be Tyron Woodley? Is it going to be the Fury fight? Even though he didn't really impress much, is Jake Paul want that? Can he sell that fight? I don't know.
But there's a rematch, you'd watch it again.
If there was a Woodley Paul, I'd probably watch it again.
Okay, fair. But I don't think the pay-per-views are going to do as well because the fight wasn't that super entertaining, right? So
no, it wasn't. That other fight, that the women's fight was Serrano who has like 26 wins in a row. That was a great fight. She's a great boxer, great female boxer. She's very technically sound. Oh yeah, I remember that. And her opponent was pretty good too. She was like on a 6-fight win streak, or 6 knockouts, I think she had. Anyway, it was a really good fight. I like that fight more than I like this fight. I was way more into that fight. So Serrano was she impressed me. That's how negligent we are when it comes to boxing.
Oh yeah, really. And Serrano is one of the
I didn't know
one of the greatest women's fighter. Yeah, which is kind of crazy that 26. Jake Paul's headlining. Yeah, he's headlining a pay-per-view, and he has one of the best. Like no one knows about her, but he's headlining one of the greatest women's fighter of all time.
Good for Jake Paul. It was good for him to do that. Yeah. She 26. I mean, how does that go unheard? How does that go unheard? I should at least hear about
10 years now.
10 years. 10 years she goes undefeated. That just goes to show how women's boxing, man, or boxing in general, and then you say women's boxing is sadly the sport's just not big enough.
Yeah, that's fair.
And the audience is not big enough, let alone boxing. Their audience is dying, right? It's shifting over to the UFC and mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
Let alone women's too now. It's tough. It sucks. Because what we saw last night, I'd love to follow that. I wish I could follow her career beforehand. 10 years and now she's 27 wins in a row. Very impressive stuff. That fight was real good. You could tell she was very technically sound. Body shots, face shots. She just knew exactly where to go. So I have no clue. There's still a lot of more drama we're going to hear over social media.
Oh, for sure.
A lot of trash talk, probably back and forth. Do you think Tyron Woodley should have just taken the L? You think he should have just taken that L? Or you think if he, it could be way more embarrassing if he goes up a second time and loses?
No, because to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised. But it could have been a draw. That's what, I feel like people are more seeing it as a draw because you could see it as a draw. If the judges give that round, the 4th round 10-8, which is pretty fair, it's a draw. This fight was basically a draw, but the only thing is there wasn't that much action. It was the thing with Tyron is you could tell when we were watching the fight, you're like, okay, there's a big size difference, right? Yeah. But if you think about it, they only have 3 inches difference, and the reach is basically the same. But you could. When we were watching, it felt like it was so hard for Tyron to get close.
Get inside, getting close.
To get inside, and he just had his hands up like that, and he was biting on all the fakes, and I don't know, it was so weird to watch.
But it wasn't. I just recently watched UFC, so I have not watched Tyron Woodley's UFC fights, and I know he's a big wrestler, and that's a big part of his game, and striking's not really so. But still. He's been doing this for 20 years and he looked like you were saying, he was biting. The fakes got him real good. He really didn't utilize his right hand or anything like that, which is his biggest thing in the striking. And he didn't really use it. He only used it once where he got him. He clipped him. but that was it. But Jake Paul, I have to agree with that at the end of the fight. Yeah, sure, Tyron got one punch on him, right? But he didn't control the fight,
Exactly.
which Jake Paul was able to do, and it was easy, because Woodley was just, I don't know, he was hesitant. He was waiting for Jake Paul to make the first move, and I'm pretty sure Jake Paul's trainers were saying, "Listen, man, just keep the pace going. We got this in the bag, and we'll just, if he doesn't do anything, we'll take the split decision or whatever, or the." So I don't know. It just didn't impress me. Give Jake Paul credit. I'll give him credit. He surprised me. I'll give him more credit in the next fight. But his fighting didn't wow me, and Tyron Woodley's fighting surprised me. I didn't think it was going to be that bad. So I don't know. Hopefully there's a rematch, but if Tyron Woodley loses it, that's his career in a bag. That's it. 40 years old. You'll never hear from Tyron Woodley again.
Okay, well, yeah, it's pretty fair. He's 40.
But is that the way he wants to go out? 0-6, and 2 of them are from Jake Paul.
Okay, but let's be honest. He made so much money from this fight.
Oh my god, yeah.
So I don't think he'd be too pissed about it. And I don't know. It's because when I predicted this fight, it was like on paper, it's as you were saying before, it sounded like, oh, you have 5-time UFC champion Tyron Woodley going up against Jake Paul, the YouTuber, the Disney star. But if you break it down, Jake Paul has been boxing for 3 years straight, basically every day. So that's all he does. He just boxes every day. So he's been boxing every day, and he's sparring like champions. He's sparring all kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
You got Tyron Woodley, who's 39 years old, and he's not a striker, but he has a good right hand. He's 39. And if you watch his fights, you could tell like, oh, he's not that aggressive, but sometimes he can rock it. But that was like 3 years ago. That's his last win 3 years ago, right? So when you put that together, and you see that Jake Paul is the one that decided to have Tyron. Like Jake Paul is not stupid. He's not going to pick Tyron Woodley knowing that he's going to lose, right? So Jake Paul's like he's the A side. So he chose his opponent. He chose where he wanted the venue. Like he chose everything. So when I went into that, I'm like, there's no way Jake Paul's losing. Knows that he's not losing this fight. Like there's like showtimes all over him. Like they want him to win too. So there's no way he's losing the fight, and that's probably how it's gonna be for the future too. It's like he's gonna be precise with his picks. Like he's gonna want like a pretty challenging fight, but he knows what he's doing. So what are you
trying to say? Is it Jake Paul, Francis Ngannou next, or what?
Yeah.
End it all? Like just settle it right there? Francis just boom, boom, ends it. Boom. We'll never hear from Jake Paul again. I think that has to be it, right?
Yeah, no, but
if Jake Paul wins, he can be the UFC. He can be the new heavyweight champion of the world.
Imagine. No, but that's what Mayweather did too. It's people will pay for people that don't like you will pay for the fight to see you lose.
Yep.
But you'll prove them wrong, and then every time they'll keep it. That's what Mayweather did for years, and that's why he's so rich. So
I'm sure Vegas loves it too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Paul. Oh, I don't know. I don't know who's next. It's either Woodley or Fury, or if someone Jake Paul has, is KSI. Who knows when that's happening? COVID's done. KSI said once the arenas and the stuff starts opening back up, then we'll get it going. Well, guess what? That's literally happening now. We're getting back to normal life. So,
but he has like music and stuff, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, I know. But is KSI not big enough for Jake Paul anymore? You think? Jake Paul looking at the KSI Jake Paul fight? I think they could sell.
They could sell, but KSI wouldn't do it because he's smart. He hasn't been boxing. He hasn't boxed in 2 years. Jake Paul's been Jake Paul's been
out. You think he back out?
Oh, I don't know. He wouldn't fight
him.
Yeah, no. KSI would probably want one fight before fight. Like it'd be dumb for KSI to do that. He knows he's gonna lose because you can't just you have to fight. Yeah. You have to fight like
Jake Paul looks way better than KSI.
Exactly.
What against Logan?
Oh yeah, for sure. And what was it? But a name that people have been throwing out there is like, can Conor even beat Jake Paul? Like
Conor McGregor.
That's what I'm saying. Like, do you think Conor can beat Jake Paul right now?
Yes, because Conor McGregor has striking. The biggest part of his game in the UFC is striking.
No, but I'm saying like, look at the weight. Like Conor walks. He's. I think he might be a bit shorter.
What's Jake Paul's weight? What do they weigh in at?
So they weighed in at 190. Conor fought at 145,
Yeah, 170.
150, but he walks around at 169 around. So he's around he's lighter than like Conor's 5'9", so he's same height as Tyron, but he walks around way lighter. Obviously, he has a striking, but he walks around way light. He probably walks around 20, I'd say 25 pounds lighter than Tyron.
So you're saying Conor McGregor wouldn't be able to put up that weight?
He could, but
yeah, it's a big commitment.
He wouldn't go up to 190.
No, I don't know. I mean, you really think Jake Paul has a good chance of beating Conor?
I have no. Probably, obviously, Conor is a very good striker.
Like if Conor went up to like 175, 180.
If they fought about,
like
that's what I'm saying. I'd probably take Conor.
Does he have to make he has to cut the weight? He's got to make the weight though, right? They can't just have a separate weight classes.
No, exactly. No, it's not like the Floyd Logan Paul fight. They did that, but that's an exhibition, right?
Yeah.
But if they did fight, it'd probably be around like 180, 185.
So then, he would have to cut weight, Jake, and then Conor. Yeah, I'm taking Conor 100%.
No, yeah, but the fact that it's even in question is kind of crazy because Tyron is like he's probably in UFC. He's probably considered better than Conor McGregor. Like Tyron has done way more in terms of winning and everything than Conor McGregor might. Bro, he defended his belt five times.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Conor obviously.
That's all you have to
say. Conor obviously is a two-time
division.
But he never defended his belt a single time.
Never.
And he's lost. He's been on a losing streak too. So
I don't know.
That's why people think. Obviously, Conor's a better striker than Tyron for sure. But
I don't even know what's next for Conor in the UFC. Nothing's been said.
No, because it'd be hard for him to do the Dustin fight. Because what happens if Dustin beats Charles?
Dustin fight. They're not doing a Dustin fight.
No, but look, what happens if Dustin beats
Charles
Oliveira? Dustin's he's not thinking about Conor. He doesn't want to fight Conor. Like he's a champ right now, so he's not gonna.
I also don't think he's sticking around the sport long. Yeah. If he wins, right? Didn't he say one of his biggest goals is to become the UFC champion? That's it.
Yeah, but I heard he wants to go up to 170 to fight Kamaru, maybe. So that'd be.
Oh yeah, stop. He said that.
Yeah, no, because Dustin's a big 155er, right? He usually fights around 180.
So he wants to go lightweight, become the champ, maybe defend his title once or twice, and then wants a super fight against Kamaru Usman.
Yeah,
that's down the line. That is.
Yeah, I know. Why are we talking about UFC right now? I thought we were talking about boxing.
I don't know because UFC is just way better than boxing. I cannot watch it. Sitting there watching boxing after watching UFC, you can't first of all 10 rounds. Yeah, it's 2 minutes. Usually it's 3 minutes, which by the way makes a huge difference in boxing. 3 and 2 minutes. But yeah, it was a 20-minute fight, but it felt like forever because these guys are, boxing. It's like but it's so technical boxing,
Yeah.
You got to, be able to read what he's thinking. You got to be able to pick your spots because if not, then, if you get clipped once, that could be it. Whereas in the UFC, it's just so much more aggressive.
Well, UFC, you get clipped once, you're even more like.
No, I know that, but it's more like, kicks are getting thrown and stuff like that. And takedowns and stuff like that.
You see more different stuff and
it's more exciting.
At the bottom line. For sure.
Like, I don't know how people like Joe Rogan used to argue UFC against the boxing guys back in the day. I don't know how you can argue it this time. I don't know how. You'd really have to get a big boxing fan from the day to argue because I don't know how you can argue those two sports.
Yeah, because boxing to UFC, it's like UFC is like the biggest big boys game, and then boxing is like elementary school.
I mean, for Christ's sake, Jake Paul is going to be one of your biggest stars in the sport. Like, no joke.
Yeah.
I don't even know who the top boxers are.
So right now it's Canelo's been owning the boxing stage, but
there's what's his name that I like, who's undefeated, Ryan Garcia. Yeah, but he's not a heavyweight. He's in a lighter division, right? So
he fights at like 135.
Yeah, so
you have Canelo who's like Canelo, Deontay Wilder, on Anthony Joshua, and Tyson Fury. Those are the big names.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. It's like, it's good for the sport, but it's kind of embarrassing that, let's keep Jake Paul as their he's one of our biggest stars. when it comes to pay-per-view. Anyway, the Paul brothers, making their mark.
Oh, for sure.
Anyway, but we'll see what happens next with Trash Talk Online. We'll get a more definitive idea of what's going to happen. What's Jake Paul's plans? He might flip flop and say, "Listen, I don't want to fight this bum again. I deserve someone better." Who knows? Nothing's set in stone. So we'll see what happens then in the future. But we have to move on because we have a big topic to talk about here. Big topic.
Big
As we
topic.
know, the NHL is over. Signings, free agency stuff is over. But there's still a lot of RFAs available. Speaking of RFA, Jesperi Kotkaniemi is one of them for the Montreal Canadiens. Eric, he, as a lot of people know already, has been accepted an offer sheet by the Carolina Hurricanes for a 1 year, $6.1 million deal with, can't forget, $20 signing bonus, of course.
So petty, though.
So petty. If people don't know, 20 is Sebastian Aho's number. If people don't know what I'm talking about, a couple years ago, I'd say, a couple years ago?
Two.
Montreal did the same thing with Sebastian Aho. They signed him to a 7-year, $8.8 million AAV, $20 million signing bonus in the first few years, which kind of like Carolina hated that. They had to pay him that. But he accepted. Carolina matched. Whatever. I guess Carolina got salty. And then they see an opportunity. And then apparently this was motivated a lot by the owner. I forget who his name was, and not the GM. The owner wanted really to do this. And whatever, it happened. It's now freaking Marc Bergevin has a big decision come Saturday. I think it's Saturday. If he wants to retain if he wants to match the offer to keep Kotkaniemi, or if he takes the compensation, Kotkaniemi leaves. All right, so let me break it down. Jesperi Kotkaniemi has signed an offer, 6.1 a year. If Montreal matches his offer sheet, then he's on the books for their team for 1 year, $6.1 million. So, he eats up your cap for the year, whatever. Shea Weber is going to be on LTIR. They have the cap for it. Here's the thing, though. Next year, when Kotkaniemi's still an RFA, his minimum qualifying offer will be $6.1 million. That's the minimum you can qualify him, but that's on a 1-year deal. However, this is where people get confused. If they try and reach a contract extension, then you could sign him to whatever you want. That's the difference. If you sign his 1 year qualifying offer will be 6.1 minimum.
Yeah.
If you sign him to 1 year next year, that's it. So, Jesperi Kotkaniemi has already banked in the 6.1 million, and that now is his new qualifying offer at the age of, it'll be 22.
Yeah.
But most likely they'll try and get it in a contract negotiation, and you could sign him to whatever you want. So that's probably going to be the plan. Or Montreal can say, listen, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, you got scratched in the playoffs. We tried. Apparently, that they tried to ship him off. They tried to trade him this summer. Apparently, Carolina tried to trade for him. But I call that BS, because if they really wanted Kotkaniemi, they would have given him a real offer. RFA. They probably would have given him 4 years, 5.5, or something like that, or 5. I don't know. But instead, they did this troll offer, which everyone knows is a troll offer. They're not serious. They know what they're doing.
You see their page, the Twitter page, like everything.
Twitter, they made fun of the Canadians. They said it in French. The GM said the exact same thing as Bergevin said 2 years ago about Aho. So obviously it's a troll offer, but now it's like, it's a serious thing. Does Montreal take the compensation, which is a first and a third, and try and make a deal for another center? Because, they're going to have to trade for a center if they lose Kotkaniemi. Yeah. Their center core is very thin with Suzuki, only Suzuki now. Deneau left. If Kotkaniemi leaves, you have Suzuki, ? Second line center. Jake Evans, I guess, is your third line center.
Yeah.
And then, Jonathan Drouin wants to play center apparently now this season. He wants to come back, play center. So who knows if he gets to play center. You have Ryan Poehling, who's going to try and make his mark at training camp, try and get a spot on this team. So who knows? But they're still thin. That's very thin. Poehling, Evans, Suzuki, Drouin as their centers. That is thin. So, my thoughts. What do I think? What do I think if I'm the GM of the Montreal Canadiens? Well, thank God I'm not. It's not my job. I don't get paid the 6 figures to do that. This is what they're going to have to do. Marc Bergevin, Trevor Timmins, head scout, they're going to sit down in their office with all the other scouts. They're going to go around the table one by one. They're going to point to the scout, yes or no. Yes or no. and then they're going to get the last say. Basically, the scouts have to predict Kotkaniemi's upside here from the future. For me, when I look at Kotkaniemi, what do I see? What do I need to improve on? It's not even a question about getting more points next season, Eric. It's not even that.
Yeah.
It's a question about his size. Can he put on muscle in the foreseeable future? Because he hasn't really been able to.
Yeah.
His skating, can it get better? Because his skating is kind of average. His release, can it get quicker? Because he has a great shot, but his release is very slow. So there's still a lot of questions about, the fundamentals of his game.
Yeah.
Can they, he's only 21. He was thrown into the doghouse at 18. Remember, he started playing for the Canadians. Was that a bad idea? Who knows? Because he's not scaring defenders off. He's not backing them up when he has the puck in the neutral zone, when he's rushing into their zone, like Suzuki does really well, backs a defender up. He doesn't do that. He takes the puck, tries to make a move, he gets poke checked, whatever, doesn't take the puck to the net because he's a tall guy. And if he had size, he'd be able to do this. Doesn't really do it. Which could be a huge aspect of his game if he were to work on it. Doesn't really do that either. So, though the question is, he's still 21. If you match it, it's only 6.1 on the books. But then it's this question of, do we really want this guy, or do we is the first and third more valuable than him? I don't know. I'm looking at a trade candidate. Christian Dvorak's name has been mentioned now a lot. It's surfacing a lot. Arizona apparently is willing to trade Dvorak. They want picks now. Arizona's in a shithole right now. They might leave Arizona, literally, go find a new team. They might be in another rebuild. It seems like they're headed there. So, they could easily trade Christian Dvorak, who's still 25 years old, Eric. He has a 4-year contract, which is an AAV of $4.45 million a year. So that could be a guy. I think his highest point total is like 30 something points. He had 18 goals one season. He could play in Montreal at center, second line. I could see him as the replacement. He's apparently a good 200-foot player too. So
okay, but I'm gonna give you the analysis from a I'm a Montreal fan, but it's not my number one team. So obviously, I'm not gonna say you're biased, but you do have different views than me, right?
Yeah.
So this is how I see it. First of all, everyone knew 2 years ago when when Bergeron was offer sheeting everyone line, obviously it pissed a lot of people off, right? But
we only offer sheeted one person.
Was it not? Did you guys not offer sheet line it too?
No.
Okay,
we
so
wanted
it's all
to, just all.
It was just all. But you don't usually offer sheet people. It's pretty rare to get offer. Okay,
let me stop you there for a second. Why? I hate that. Why are offer sheets take it out? Don't make it a rule if it's gonna piss people off. It's a part of the fucking game.
You can say that, but it always does, because it's
I know, and I hate.
You have an RFA, and you're just making it more complicated for the GM to sign someone.
Exactly. If you're in a tight cap situation like Tampa, people should have fucking gone out and offer sheet a Braden Point.
Okay. That's fair. You can say that.
Take advantage of a team's cap
you take
situation.
advantage, and then after, Carolina's there, okay, well, you don't care about my feelings, so now I'm not gonna care about your feelings. Fuck you. I want Kotkaniemi.
Yeah.
Let me give him fucking 1 million, 1 year, 6.1, which is fucking ridiculous.
He should be making over 4.
That's what I was saying. He should make over 4.
So that's the joke. Yeah,
that would probably no, obviously, but if you look at it from Carolina, 6.1 1 year for them really isn't they'll take that. They
also lost a lot in free agency.
Exactly. So they'll take a center. They'll take a very young center, because don't forget, right now he's 21 years old.
Yeah.
And as you were saying before, what's he got to improve on? All that stuff. For a center right now, he's a good number 2 center. He's great defensively. Look at his upside. Okay, look at his wait.
He's nothing close to a number 2 center.
Okay, wait. Look. Don't forget, he's gonna go. This is what, fourth year now?
It's gonna be his 4th, yeah.
4th year now. He's good defensively, right? That's fair.
Yeah.
When you look at size, I remember you were like, "Oh my God, Kotkaniemi put on 20 pounds." He has to put on more weight. We all know that, but that's something don't forget, he's only 21. He can still put on weight.
Yeah.
When I look at Kotkaniemi, he just looks so lanky. The way he plays, it just looks like I don't know. It just looks like he's like not like you know what, like Nick Trombley
I
kind
know
of
what you
plays
mean. I
like
know what you mean.
so like
Lanky and yeah.
it's just like a weird way. Like no diss to Nick Trombley. I hope you're not watching this, but it's just the way he plays. It's not. It doesn't like. I don't know how to put it into words,
Doesn't
but
have good
doesn't look.
control over the
Yeah,
puck.
doesn't have good control. But hey, he scores goals. If you look at his numbers in the playoffs,
Yeah, 4 goals.
5?
Yeah, in the playoffs.
So, yeah, 5 goals this playoff, 4 the last
yeah,
one.
but you know he was great against Toronto. I mean, he booked us a ticket to Game 7 against
Exactly,
Toronto.
yeah.
But there's a reason why he got scratched in the Cup Finals because he went back to his old ways.
Yes.
And you can't afford that.
Yeah, but okay, so Montreal should see it as this. You don't see it as okay. This year 6.1. It's not this year 6.1, right? It's is he worth 6.1, and then like is he worth keeping in our system, right? So do we see Kotkaniemi as probably our number 2 center in the future? Probably 50-point guy, 2-way guy. Do we see him as that upside, right? I'm not gonna lie. I want to say no, right? Because
yeah.
I don't, to be honest, I don't see it. Like, I don't think he's worth, like, it's hard. It's so hard to say because I've never really liked KK that much. So maybe I'm biased on that side. So I'd personally say no. I don't think, I think he's worth the first and the third. I don't think Montreal should.
You don't match.
I wouldn't match. I feel like, but it's hard to say though. I don't know.
Like Christian Dvorak's young. He's 25.
I know.
He's a good player. But Kotkaniemi he's so young that he has this question mark on his potential, on what kind of player he can become. And
but you think he can get 50? You think he can be 50 points? Good 2-way player. Number 1 center. Number 2 center.
Right now, you tell me he's a second line center right now. He's not.
No. When I said that, it was like
he's not a second line center. If they go into the season with him, if they match and go into the
no, but that's what I'm saying. Like this year, he's gonna play second line center this year if they sign him. Like he's playing. If you're signing him to 6.1, like who else is going center?
I don't know. They could find like you got guys like I don't know, like Cedric Paquette. He's a center, right? Who knows, man?
You're gonna throw Cedric
if he's playing a better game than Kotkaniemi, why not? He could be. You could play a better game than Kotkaniemi. You don't know, but they're very thin on center. Even with Kotkaniemi signed, they're very thin at center.
But don't forget, do you remember when they drafted Kotkaniemi in what 2018?
Yeah,
third overall.
They reached 11th.
But you know what? Because they wanted a center, right?
I know. And you don't.
Now
pick,
you got that.
though.
Yeah. You never pick for position in the top.
You always
top 5. Yeah. They reached for Kotkaniemi. Okay, maybe they could have probably moved back. Whatever.
Yeah, traded down.
But now you have that center. You have the center. And he played right away. Don't forget, he already has 3 years of NHL experience, which is was very, very rare for a 21-year-old. Still one of the youngest players in the NHL, like who plays, right? He's 21. So 6.1, is it worth? Do you see him as like is in a couple of years he might be worth like $8 million?
I don't know. Like what's the big deal?
I don't see it. You know,
like it's 1 year. They have the cap. Whatever. He's making 6.1, sure. But next year he's not going to make that. If they sign him to a contract extension, no one's going to sign him to that. No matter like if it's not Montreal, no one's signing him. First of all, they're not going to sign his qualifying offer, so they're going to give him a contract extension, right? And no team's going to give him that. I'm listening to TSN 690. I'm hearing people telling me, oh, there's other NHL executives and GMs in the league saying the guy shouldn't get over 4. Nowhere near to 6.1. Like, what's his name? Like, who knows what happens this year? If he has the same year as usual, he's going to go into free agency. He's going to have to sign with Montreal, right? There's no way a team is going to overpay for Kotkaniemi. If so, then okay, whatever. Ciao, thanks for the 4 years, but I'm not signing you to $5 million or whatever for 4 years. No, but you're going to score 4 goals for me.
If you look at it, like KK got lucky. Like if Carolina didn't jump in, he was probably going to sign like a bridge deal or something like a 2 years. Like because Montreal still they're still unsure about KK.
Yeah, well, this is where my next like who do we blame? Who's to blame? Is it Marc Bergevin?
I think it's Carolina.
Kotkaniemi? Is it Carolina, the owner, whatever? So let me break it down. You have Jesperi Kotkaniemi, who people are blaming, oh, how could you do this to our team?
Oh no. No.
First of all, I'll
You
tell you
gotta
right now,
sign. Yeah, you're signing. Yeah.
Jesperi Kotkaniemi was scratched during the playoffs. Had a
Yeah.
huge question mark with the
Yeah.
Montreal Canadiens, what his future was like.
Yeah.
Was pretty pissed in his exit interview at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
season. He was kind of pissed off that he got scratched, didn't feel like he deserved it, whatever. So he had a huge question mark. And then you get this opportunity given to you where you're 21 years old. You've had a subpar NHL career so far, and some guy's throwing $6 million at you. And that guarantees your qualifying offer for the next year. How many 21-year-olds in the NHL say besides McDavid when he signed his big and all the superstars?
No-brainer,
all the take a guy like Kotkaniemi, take another 21-year-old who's had his point production and tell me what they're making, okay? Because it's not $6 million, I'll tell you that. So Kotkaniemi, this is an opportunity. I'm not going to blame him.
Oh, of course.
People call him, how could you sign this joke of a contract?
No.
I have to blame, Marc Bergevin.
Oh yeah?
Well, listen, you're telling me you couldn't get a deal done in the contract negotiation time?
That's fair. You're
telling me you couldn't get a deal, you couldn't get this guy locked up or something? Were you shopping him? I don't know. If you were shopping him, could you have gotten a deal done? Because if I'm KK's agent, right, I'm telling KK in his ear, I'm like, listen, don't sign a contract extension, whatever. Let's wait till free agency because, who knows who's going to come after you or offer sheets, stuff like that. There had to be some guy in KK's ear telling him this because it did make sense. If they weren't going to get a deal, there was a lot of question marks surrounding KK and a lot of GMs, I think, like Carolina, were going to, jump on that opportunity to throw him an offer sheet and throw the ball into Montreal's court and be like, listen, this is up to you now. Do you want him or not? Because I'm going to take him for the 1 year, whatever. And then I'll try and negotiate a contract extension with a young 22-year-old center. So I don't know whose fault. Yeah, you could say the Carolina freaking owner was petty and shit like that. And, this 1 year, 6.1, if they were serious, they could have given him a serious offer. But I don't know. Marc Bergevin, you're playing fire with fire. Yeah, you scratch him or you and the coach decide, let's scratch him, whatever. That's basically like saying a big fuck you to you, right?
Yeah.
And so, I guess the scratching makes sense, but you have to look at it through KK's perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
And, now he's in the contract negotiations and Bergevin, I don't know, apparently Kotkaniemi's being shopped around and stuff like that. And who knows what he's hearing during the season or the offseason.
Obviously, he's not going to be loyal to Montreal. He does
I'm hearing rumors that he was being shopped, that Carolina was trying to trade for him. And I don't know. I'm not getting any confirmations, but apparently, his name was getting swirled around the league. So if you're KK, you're like, okay, whatever, fuck. All right. Then I'm going to go sign $6 million and you can figure it out and I'll do me and you do you.
Exactly.
So I can't blame KK. Marc Bergevin has got to be prime. He's got to be like, he's having a terrible offseason this year, Marc Bergevin. Terrible offseason so far. With David Savard and, get Cedric Paquette and Matthew Perreault and, Mike Hoffman's a great.
Mike Hoffman was a good one.
Yeah, but now this team is like, I don't know. He needs to fix this offseason coming up. He needs to figure out his plan because if you don't match this, then you better have a trade in your back pocket ready to go right away.
Yeah.
Right away. Mm-hmm. Like, if they don't match this, I guarantee you that first round pick that they get from Carolina is getting sent to another team. That first and third is getting packaged to another team for a player, for a center. Okay? Yeah. I don't know if it's Christian Dvorak. I don't know what that trade would look like. But if you don't match this, you better have a freaking trade in your back pocket because your center core is horrible and it's not going to be good enough to get you to the playoffs next year. If you go into the Atlantic, one of the probably the toughest division in the league, with that center core of Jonathan Drouin playing fucking goddamn center because he tried that and it was god awful. And they said, no, you're gonna play winger now for the rest of your career, okay, Jonathan? And that was that. Now he wants to go back to center because look, he sees an opportunity. Oh, I could play center now because we're a bit thin, whatever. And, whatever. I don't want that. I don't want Jonathan Drouin playing center.
That's fair.
What's wrong with Jonathan Drouin too? Let's talk about KK. Talk about that guy. That's another just big fucking question mark. Only reason he's still on the team is because he's signed to a contract extension. He's in the same goddamn boat as KK when it comes to this topic, right? What's going on with his game? What's going on with this player? What's going on? I don't know. It's
this is starting to get crazy because remember everyone's always like, oh, like Montreal's like they're kind of they had the quick rebuild, right? And one of the reason was because of
Nick
Caulfield, Suzuki,
Pacioretty
and
trade.
yeah, and Kotkaniemi was part of that young future, right? So
Yep.
now if you lose Kotkaniemi, like, because don't forget he's 21. I don't think
Yeah.
people understand how young 21 is in the NHL, and you already have 3 years of
I
experience.
know
Like,
that's why when people are like, "Whatever, I'm taking the first and third," it's like, "Whoa, relax." Like,
bro, he's 21. Like,
I don't know. Give it like I say match it because we can get the year and try and see what his year is, and then
yeah,
sign him to a fucking contract extension where he makes nowhere near $4 million, whatever.
like we can say what we like. I personally, if I was the GM, I probably would. I don't know if I would. I feel like you would, but what do you think, Mark? What's your prediction that Mark Bergevin is
I
going
don't
to
know.
like? What do you think he's going to do?
Eric Engels, who's very close to the team,
Mhm.
reporter, he's saying that he's getting feeling that Mark Bergevin is leaning towards not matching it.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people close to Kotkaniemi believe that he played his last game in Montreal already. This is Montreal, man. This is like, I don't know. It's a big business. If Mark Bergevin is getting a first-round pick, he loves his first-rounders, that guy. Salivates over them. And then are we finally going to see Mark Bergevin trade a first-round pick as the GM of the Montreal Canadiens? Because he's never done that before. Traded a first-round pick. Now when he has two, he's got to have a trade in his back pocket. That first-round pick's going to get a center. Or if you say, listen, fuck this. But it's so difficult because, Carolina's looking like they're going to miss the playoffs this season in the Metro after the offseason they had one of the worst off seasons I've seen.
I don't know. I don't know what they're
goalie
thinking.
tandem is completely new. They lost Warren Fogle. They have Ethan Bear now, who was a huge question mark in Edmonton. And Carolina, who's a team that relies heavily on their defense. I don't know. It's weird. Now
What happened to that defense? Remember a couple of years ago, it was like one of the best, most underrated defenses. Now it's
because they had so many prospects, but now like Hayden Fleury's gone, right? Where is he? It's Seattle, I think.
Yeah, he's Seattle.
So that's one of their young guys gone. Now it's Brett Pesce, who's not getting any younger. Dougie Hamilton's gone, so it's Brett Pesce.
And don't forget they had Edmonton too, who was pretty decent.
I'm forgetting their whole decor. Brett Pesce, not Jake Gardner, right?
I don't know if Jake Gardner's still there.
I don't know if he's still there. Hurricane lines. I'm blanking right now on their decor. Let me look it up. So it's Jacob Slavin, Brett Pesce. So Jacob Slavin, who's playing second, so he gets first line. Brady Shea, Tony D'Angelo, who they signed.
Oh, so you got the New York Ranger.
You got the racist on your team, and then you have Ian Cole and Ethan Bear. So they totally revamped their decor.
That's weird.
It's gone worse than it was last year. Okay.
They
have Josh Levo, Steven Lorenz, and Jordan Martinook as their fourth line. Jesper Foss is their third line winger now because they lost Warren Fogle. So big downgrade in their third line right winger. Ryan Suzuki's looking to crack the team. Nick Suzuki's brother.
Yeah.
And then Martin Necas, Vincent Trocheck, Nino Niederreiter. That was a good line.
Yeah.
Teravina, Sebastiano, Svechnikov. That's their first line. But their team had, and then, question marks about their goalie, Frederick Anderson and Antti Ranta, I think it is. So their team has completely changed. It's gone worse. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
And they're in a tough Metro division too. Yeah. So just Mark Bergevin keep the pick and like, I'll have 2 lottery picks. I don't think we're making the playoffs. Whatever. Who cares about Price? He's getting older. Whatever. I don't know. So I say match it, and then you work from there. You work from that. Then you have years to see his output. If you have to sign him to a bridge at a low term to see to get things going, I don't know. You do it, or you get Christian Dvorak, or you get somebody.
Dvorak, huh?
I like Dvorak, or you get somebody else. You better have a trade in your back pocket, and that guy better be young too. It better be a goddamn hockey trade where this guy's like 24, 25. Still, I don't want some guy in his 30s, early 30s. I want a guy who's still in his early mid 20s, 24, 25, 26. Something like that. 23, so that's my opinion. If they don't match, but I don't know. He's freaking. I can't trust the NHL's. I can't trust anyone anymore. I in my gut, I'm thinking they're matching it. That's my gut saying, but I don't know. Bergevin's a crazy motherfucker, man. He might just say, "Screw it, your problem now. I'll take the first and third because he loves his picks." But I don't know. That's my gut feeling. I say they match. That's my gut feeling.
Okay.
Could be wrong though. I could be totally dead wrong. Eric Engels scaring me. I don't know.
I think they're gonna match too.
I don't know. We'll see though. That's coming Saturday, so you'll know
We'll
by
know.
next Wednesday.
That's crazy.
We'll talk about that for sure. And if we'll have a lot to talk about if they don't match. A lot of question marks surrounding that. So stay tuned for that. But this has been another episode of the Chtib Zhang show. 35 next week, 36. So thanks again for watching on YouTube or listening to us on Spotify. It's been a pleasure talking about this. Hopefully next week, as always, Jack Eichel gets traded. I'll put it out there every week. He hasn't gone traded this time. Who knows? Next week, Pat Brisson, big Montreal guy, big represents a lot of Montreal Canadian fans. A lot of big free agent. Pat Brisson, close contact. Who knows? Don't even want Jack Eichel, but that'd be crazy if you get it, traded to Montreal. He's got the hernia disc. Don't trust it. Never been seen before. I don't want him, but we'll see where he gets traded. Anyway, enough about Jack Eichel. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you later. Roll the outro music. Roll it.